So hello everybody, we're back again with What's the Tea with Nikkolayla. And so I have my guest here, Claire with Clarity Out Loud, last name Thomas. I had to fill that in, everybody. So anyway, so I'm glad to be here with her, and we're going to just touch on some of the things that she's doing with her company. And one of the first things I wanted to touch on is that part of What's the Tea with Nikkolayla is that we're here to inspire, bring more love, more joy, more kindness into the world by communicating what makes you happy. So think about it. If you had more people that loved what they did and enjoyed their lives and were inspired and ignited others to do the same, wouldn't that be fantastic? I think so. You'd have more happy people on the planet, wouldn't you? Well, I think so. But, you know, who am I to say? So if we can have more conversation that what brings people joy and ignites their spirits inside.
While drinking tea.
Yes! Well,
I mean,
how can you not do it without tea and some pastries? Well, you know, we've taken care of that part right now, so we're going to dig into all the wonderful stuff, the so-called meat of it all, of what inspires and what brings you, what inside of you brings you that feeling of love, because that's one of the things that we actually talk about with What's the Tea with Nikkolayla. It's like what brings that inspiration of love that's within you.
I'm so glad you asked. I remember sitting down and reading a book, and one of the things that they mentioned in the book was when you do meditation, sit mindfully and go into this expanse of space and bringing the feeling of love. And I remember the first time I read the book, I was like, what does that feel like? Like, what does love feel like? And
Wow.
It was interesting for me because I could understand the feeling of joy.
Mm-hmm.
I could understand, of course, feeling of anger. I can really find that emotion, right? You can dive into a feeling of sadness. You know, I could bring all of these shallow emotions up, and I say shallow only in the sense of I feel that love is one of the deepest emotions that almost integrates all aspects of other emotions into it. But I had to get to that point.
Right.
So what brings me the feeling of love, it's not easily answered and just, it's this. One of the things that brings me this depth of love that I get emotional about is my little boy. He's just recently, he'll be 3 here in April. And so he's very independent. And people have all these things about, terrible twos or like 3-nager and like all these attitudes. And whatever those things, I try not to label him. But I will say that he is definitely coming into his independence.
Yay!
But, some days that's really trying because we go into power struggles. And I try to not go into a power struggle with a 3-year-old, but like, okay, this is real life. But the other side of him going into his independence is that sometimes he'll come up and snuggle up and hug me, and he'll say, "I love you, mommy." And I mean, like, come on. like this little human that I carried inside of me, and like now is so independent. I mean, it brings tears to my eyes. Like the love that I feel for that little boy.
Wow.
I've had moments of connection with really good friends where you sat down and time flew by and you're just like, how did that happen? But you're so into the connection with your people, with your tribe, with your person at the time. That to me is another feeling that I connect with and just eat up, of feeling loved. The feeling of love making, the expansion that I feel when I actually am. This is crazy, but so, people don't want to talk about sex, but it's like a real life thing. It happens, right?
Yeah.
And I had a lot of trauma around my sexual experiences and my body. The first time that I had sex with someone that I truly felt this connectedness with, it was like mind-blowing, life-altering, emotional release, and I would express that as a feeling of love as well, where I just opened up my soul and connected.
Wow.
And then on the other side of it, after everything was said and done, I felt good about myself, good within myself, as opposed to years before when I would feel angry or unsure or I don't know, just unaware. So there's just, love is so expansive. I feel like you can find it and have sexual, this end of this spectrum with like sexual experiences, but like also this end of the connection with like love of a child and love with a child. So so yeah, that's kind of
wow,
my long-winded explanation.
Oh, that's perfect. So I'm actually going to take some information here regarding her expression about love. Like, I actually got the definition of the whole love concept thing here. And, love is so expansive, just like she's described. And I'm looking at this, and I didn't want to have to put anything that detailed in it because it's so expansive. So when I looked up the definition, I know that there was a multitude of expressions probably about it. But all I did, I summed it up as inspired affection. Inspired by affection. Now, we know people have killed people for what they consider as love. And I mean,
like Shakespeare,
yeah,
Romeo and Juliet stuff.
It's extreme. I mean, people go out and do some cuckoo things regarding love. And the question is do we really know what it is? And so all we can do is go off of what our experiences are and then classify that as love. And just like she's described her experience with this beautiful baby loving on her, it's like that's love. And having a sexual lovemaking experience with someone that created an expansion. So what I'm getting is love is expansive. Love is expansive within itself, without itself. I can honestly say sometimes I've considered love as being, the tough love. When someone is doing something, like say for instance, you have a friend, you have people in your life and they're not telling you the truth. They're not telling you what is really going on with you. And I would consider, because I do this quite often with a lot of people, my thing is like, I'm loving you because I am telling you the truth. I'm loving you because I'm not going to lie to you. I'm loving you because I'm being as clear as possible with you because I care enough about you. So to me, that would be considered love. So there's so much, I think people have called it agape love. I guess that's an expansive love that is more devotional love that people have classified it. But we gotta continue to expand ourselves and grow because there's more love to get because we're expansive beings. So in that, love is just expansive, and then we can leave it at that. So I just wanted to find out, Claire. Now, Claire has a company called Clarity Out Loud again, and we're going to post her links up, and her information will be provided for you, so you can go and take her yoga classes. So she deals with all levels. Beginner, intermediate, advanced. She's amazing. And what she does is assist you mentally, spiritually, physically, top to bottom, every portion of your being, and touches on certain things that you might not know that you're having an issue with. So I want to find out from you what's ignited any kind of, like, have you done certain things with people that they didn't know that you were doing? So we're touching on the kindness. So what's the tea of with Nikkolayla touches on what is it that you did kind for someone else when they weren't watching?
I feel that it's something that I kind of do on the regular. Mm-hmm. I don't like to get a lot of accolades, generally speaking. I don't love to, be, what's the word, like, out in the, hey, I did this for you with the, right. So I prefer to do things behind the scenes.
Well, that's a whole question. It's behind the, what did you do when no one was watching? Because we're here to inspire our audience, because sometimes we actually go off and I get what you're saying too, because it's a part of what makes you you. And we all naturally can be kind and not know that we're doing something that it actually touches someone else, because what happens, and this is what I've it's like a domino effect. One kind word or one kind gesture can actually expand into another, but you don't know that you did it, but the universe does. And so I'm just actually wanting to actually shine a light on that area of what you actually know that you did kind for someone else, because you never know when one idea can expand for someone else, that it's like, hey, I can do something kind. I can do a kind gesture, because you know what? We're all expanding with ideas. So more ideas for you, because she's got something that she's done kind for someone, and that can help you do something kind. Just do it your own way.
So a couple things that came to mind. First of all, I finished my 300 hours, so that I'm now considered, I'm a registered yoga teacher, but I have 500 hours for my registered yoga, which is like one of the next steps up if you're doing like yoga certification. But during my teacher training, I absolutely adore and love my yoga teacher, and am excited about just everything that she brings. But one of the things that I noticed during our training was that her manual, which is very inclusive and has a lot of information, did not have something as simple as a table of contents or an appendix, which just makes it a little bit more accessible. So when you have, 150 pages, if there's no table of contents, it's really difficult to be like, where was that page that I was at? You end up putting a lot of sticky tabs in and folding pages over. And so I took it upon myself to, and I guess this was not like unknown, because I had to get the manual, the electronic copy of the manual from her, but I took it upon myself to go through each page, make everything more concise, fix the pictures, add a table of contents, so that it was a little bit more accessible for her upcoming students that would be, taking her teacher training. Another thing that I like to do, and it's really hard to I don't know, to label things unknown, or when people aren't watching, because I guess when you do them, eventually the person finds out. But another thing I love to do is I love to remember people's special days. I like to remember their dates. If someone tells me, I have this and this and this coming up, and it's really important, it's a big deal, I try to remember or write it down, so that on that day I can give some kind of advice. Maybe not advice, more like if I'm gonna say advice, like, hey, meditate on this when you wake up tomorrow morning. Take some time to take some deep breaths, and that's something that's just, I know, works really well for me when I'm nervous or anxious, or I have something even exciting to come up. Just like take a moment and just breathe through it. So just remembering things that are important to people, so that on those days I can say, hey, I'm thinking of you. I know you had this thing coming up. Take some deep breaths today, and remember to meditate before you leave in the morning. Just being mindful and aware that everyone has a life, and they don't think that we're paying attention, but people are paying attention and love you enough to notice.
I think that is absolutely beautiful. So I have to say, because I know her personally, and she's a sweetheart, and I just love her so much. So that particular energy, this is a gift. Like, what she did was take one of her gifts, and she assisted one of her friends. It's like, you can do that any day of the week with something that but you got to find out first, what's your gift? Do you know what one of your gifts are? Like, your gift to be able to do something so kind and so unique for someone else, because only you would be able to do it. And only you would be able to do it your own way. So that's what she did. And it's like taking that twist and going, hey, and it's paying attention to other people and being conscientious about things that are happening with them and tuning into them. That is one of the things that I'm hearing from you. It's like tuning into other people and knowing. So that can branch out to being kind in a way that you didn't even know that someone needed. And so that is so beautiful. So what do you know? Well, not what do you know, but what experiences you've had your own personal self of somebody doing something kind for you?
Oh, I mean, the amount of people that I've surrounded myself with that are in my tribe is amazing. I have people who have reached out to me and wanted to, provide me with services. They're like, you're a healer. Healers need healers. Let me give you a Reiki session. You're a healer. Healers need healers. Let me have a private session with you. One of the studios that I work at, the owner, she was like, I know you've been really into giving privates. I have someone that I think you'd be a great match with. Let me give you this new client to work with. Mm-hmm. One of my friends, Megan, she comes to all of my yoga classes, and she makes sure every time she comes that she checks in on Facebook, and she says the sweetest, kindest things on Facebook about, like, you need to come down to Claire's classes. She's amazing. It's just the amount of kindness that I'm surrounded by, and I'm glad you asked that question, because I think that sometimes I don't want to say take it for granted, but kind of like it kind of washes over us, like, oh, that was really cool, and you move on with your day. But to just take a moment and flood your body and your cells with that feeling of gratitude of, like, wait a minute, I can tell you a lot of times when people have really been kind to me. It changes the energy.
It does. And so knowing that someone actually cares about you, cares enough for you. So I have to say is that one thing, the song, one thing leads to another. So when someone does something for you and then you have the opportunity to do something for someone else, it just continues on and on and on. It like repeats itself over and over again. And so think about this. What if there were more people doing more kind things for each other? Wouldn't this be an even better world?
For sure.
I mean, just think about it. Like if you had one person that did something really kind to somebody else, and then that person did something kind for somebody else, and then that person, and then it's just a multitude of people doing kind things for each other. It's like, that whole paying it forward thing. Yeah. So, it's just a beautiful thing that it has a ripple effect, that actually you throw that pebble in that water and you see it expand out, and it trickles out to so many people, that we have that beautiful power within us to actually touch someone else. And the amazing thing about it is that you can actually touch somebody's life that you don't even know that you're touching. And so, because we're all connected, and that's just my own personal belief that we're all connected, and we don't always know or see what happens. However, the universe definitely knows that is happening. And the other thing is it's a universal law, because it is the law of called reciprocity. And so, just like she said that she gives out certain kindness things, those certain kind things that have been done out from her have been coming back to her. So that same thing. So it's like you're expanding even more off of your experience, because it's the law. It's the universal law of reciprocity. So one kind thing leads into the next kind thing, but you're not doing it with the intent of having something come back to you. You're doing it from your heart. And so that is something else that we'll expand off to, because that is it's just the energy of just love. So, so Claire, what is something that you're compassionate about?
Oh, compassionate. Let's go over that definition again, because,
okay.
I
got it right here. So, according to what the dictionary says.
Right to Webster.
So, yes, this is Webster. So, sympathetic conscientiousness of others' distress together with a desire to alleviate. Let's see, that's it. No, that can't possibly be it. To alleviate.
Something.
To alleviate something. Alleviate it. Alleviate it. That's what it said. Okay, I didn't do a really good job on my definition, but we'll go with it. So, sympathetic conscientiousness of others' distress. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, I'm gonna give my own thought process of compassion. So, if you see someone, and there's people that we see that don't have a roof over their head, but that doesn't mean that they are quote unquote homeless. Now, don't get me wrong. They don't have a roof over your head, just like you and me. However, the mindset of what is considered home, Earth is our home. We also call the whole planet our Earth. So anyway, if there's someone that you see that is either hurting or in distress, like this is talking about, you're assisting them in maybe like not so it's not so hard for them, or they're not going through the difficulty of their experience. So it's just better. So I'm going to use an example of what I would consider compassion. So a compassion experience would be like you've seen someone, a little older lady, trying to open a door, but she can't get it open because she's just not strong enough to open that. It could be like a heavy door, or you could see that she can't bend over or do something. That is having compassion, and that's what my viewpoint of what compassion is considered. Seeing somebody in need of something, and you assisting them so they're not as distressed as they would have been prior to you coming along.
I think my example is a little bit more of an energetic and emotional example.
Okay.
I feel energy, and it's taken me many years, to work on protecting my own energy. As an empath, I would take on a lot of other people's energy, and so my compassion was almost a literal envelopment of somebody else's anger or frustration, and then trying to figure out why my emotions were all kind of over the place. Whereas now I'm able to better separate my own emotions from somebody else's emotions, and to give them the space that they need. So a great example, I was teaching a yoga class one night, and one of the women in the class, I had a room full of students, and one of the women in the class was she worked at the studio, and took it upon herself when she got into the studio space to turn all the lights down because she didn't feel comfortable with the lights off or whatever. Mm-hmm. But when I went into the space to teach, I mean, I have my sequence written down. I have other students that need to see demonstrations and things like that. And so I turned up the lights. About 15 minutes into the class, I needed to turn up the lights so that I could see a little bit better. And she immediately got angry and said out loud, "You just really made me sad right now. I don't think I can practice." Mm-hmm. And so my immediate response was like, I should just turn the lights back down and fix it. And then I was in the middle of teaching the class, so I had to take a step back and hold space for her. Mm-hmm. And that's a big thing for me now is being able to hold space. She can have her emotional response and reaction. Mm-hmm. I can hold space for her to have that space, that feeling and emotion without judgment. I mean, mm-hmm. She had an emotional reaction, and it's hers to have. That being said, I needed to finish the class and get through. And so I gave her a few minutes, and she kind of did. She was really upset. She laid on her mat. She didn't practice much for a while. Mm-hmm. And then eventually she moved through whatever she needed to. But I could still feel off of her, mm-hmm. her emotional frustration, mm-hmm. I would say. Mm-hmm. But I could hold space for her. And again, going back to my initial response was like, I'm just going to give her literal physical space. But I mean, one of the things that I value about what I bring to the yoga session is that I put my hands on my students. Mm-hmm. I give hands-on assists. I share energy in space. And so I had to protect myself, which I did. I energetically protected myself. I went to my other students and kind of worked with them. And then I made it a point, with my energy protected, to go and give her love, because mm-hmm. whatever her emotional response was to the light thing and whatever, she still came to yoga to get something from me. And maybe she didn't leave the class, which was to me a big deal. She didn't get up and leave, even though she was having all of this emotional response. Mm-hmm. So I made sure I gave her some really good, sweet loving, some energetic exchange, and some assists. And then after class, she came up to me and she apologized, and she explained to me what the situation was and what was going on, gave me a hug, and she got what she needed from class and was able to go out and go. So for me, it's sometimes being able just to hold energetic space, mm-hmm. and to exchange a vibration of love to that, to somebody who's in need, and like you said, it's someone that you notice needs something, and you're able to support them however you can. So.
Right. That is so beautiful. Let me get my. So it actually it's so good to hear that so many people have the opportunity to actually touch base with and tune in to someone and know that something is not. It's kind of like out of order, or if you have the opportunity and you're in close proximity and you have made the time to actually make that exchange. Now, if you're not there with, what she's speaking about, then that's okay. Everybody has the ability to actually connect with someone in some way to alleviate some kind of distress, because sometimes people just, when you're going through your day to day and all of the, like, I'll call it rigmarole, and you just like, I'm going, and you're on the hamster wheel, and you don't realize you're on the hamster wheel, and you don't even know how to get off. There might be somebody out there that can assist you by releasing that distress, or you can actually even do it for yourself, because the closest person to you is you. So, and that actually, that takes you being aware that you're there in that space. So,
and that takes time. I mean, that's not something that's an easy task to get to. I mean, I've been on this journey, and I've said before, it's not like getting a college degree. I think I said that before last time we were together. It's not like getting a college degree. It's an ongoing process and an ongoing knowledge. And so it's like you're this onion, and you peel away the top layer, and you're like, yeah, I felt expansive, and I'm like, I released all this shit, and then you're like, why is it so hard again? Oh, here's another layer. Yes, I am awesome. I'm doing great. And like, I let me call my friends and tell them we gotta go celebrate because I got rid of that. And then you're like, why am I still this big chunk of onion? And I keep moving these layers, and yet, and so you might be watching this and thinking to yourself, I don't connect, or I don't understand, but you're here, you're watching it. And that's the first step. I mean, I've had students that have said to me, when you tell me to meditate in class, I can't even focus on the lights behind my eyes. And I've had other students that are like, you tell me to focus on the light behind my eyes, and I'm like flying. I can feel myself astral projecting, flying through the planets and the stars. I mean, and
I love that.
Both of them are truth.
Right.
And both of them are steps in the process. And I know that I have students that are more advanced in some areas in their meditation and their spirituality than even I am. And we're all on the exact place that we're meant to be, so it might be that someone talking about energy is talking outside of your realm, but at the end of the day, you're exactly where you're meant to be. And just by noticing and paying attention to things like this, listening into What's the Tea with Nikkolayla and things like that, like, you're already expanding yourself.
Yes. So I'm so happy that you guys showed up here, and we're talking about wonderful things, transformational things that can change your life. Just little tidbits, and even if you apply just the smallest thing. So one of the things, just like if you're wanting to do something kind for someone else, and actually, you know what? Start with yourself. Be kind to yourself. That is the first and foremost thing that you need to start off with first, is like, be kind to yourself. Because I think, what I can only utilize, now I'm not a mommy yet. However, one of the things that is important is that mommies take that time for themselves to be kind to yourself. And it could be the smallest thing, even if you have to take a few minutes in the evening time while everything is happening.
Pencil it in your planner. Just every day, 10 minutes to myself. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah, do a self-talk. I mean, even if you have to pull all of your clothes off and you just want to see yourself naked and say, I love you and you're beautiful, that kind of kindness is even important. So you as a mommy, how have you been kind to yourself?
I take yoga every day.
Really?
I make time for myself every day. Sometimes at a studio. I'm a yoga teacher, so sometimes I create my own, and sometimes I find online yoga. But before I had a son, I was able to go and practice whenever I wanted to. And it's like, when you become a mom, supposedly you're supposed to, sacrifice your life for this little person. And I've made a lot of sacrifices, but I also realize that I'm a better mom when I take space for myself. So for me, it's yoga and meditation every day. I have to do that for myself.
That is, okay, so she just sparked something that was a reminder to me, is that it is so important, because one of the things I actually remember doing when I was on my journey, because I used to have anxiety, and I've touched on it with the other YouTube show that I have, that one of the reasons why I actually started doing a meditation, and I did Abraham Hicks's meditation. And the reason why I started doing that is because I had a high amount of anxiety. I didn't know where it was coming from. And then I had done yoga, but I wasn't able to take that every day. So what I started doing is I started meditating every day, and with Abraham Hicks, and she has a video, and it should probably still be on the YouTube. I did one of my shows, and I put the link down there that stated breathe in, breathe out. It has to do, and it is the most amazing meditation, because it's actually assisting you in breathing in and connecting to your breath. And that is so important to connect to your breath, because you're tuning into more of your body, and you stop hearing the outside world and all the chitter chatter and everything that, you know, quite honestly makes people crazy. If you don't go inside of yourself and find that quiet space, then you can make yourself bonkers. But you have to get to a space where you're being kind enough to yourself to take that time for yourself. And that is the other thing. Take time for yourself. You need time. Even if it's 5 minutes, start there, then branch off and expand off of that, because you need to take important time to love yourself. And that is you being compassionate. And when you're compassionate, then that branches out to more joy and happiness in your surroundings, because as you know, she has a child. And so if she didn't do the things that of self-care for herself, then she would not be the great mommy that she is to her child. And her child would actually even feel the effects of that as well, because children actually will tell you the truth. They'll show you the truth through their energetic field and connecting with you, because they'll show you yourself. They'll show you, it's like they're your mirror, and they're expressing to you, this is how you feel, but I'm showing you how you feel because you're not showing it. And they naturally automatically do that. So that's a whole nother show. But anyway, we're here to talk about compassion and love, joy, kindness, and what you're passionate about. So is there anything that you want to talk about that you're passionate about?
Oh, I'm passionate about so many things.
Yes.
One of my big things is probably natural health.
Okay.
And I'm really into Ayurveda, into holistic health.
Mm-hmm.
I find that, of course, allopathic medicine has its place, and I do believe in balance in all things. But my go-to, my first, turn to is nutrition and natural herbs and essential oils when it comes to something's wrong in our family.
Right.
Where do we go first? So that's one of my big passions, is just utilizing that, but also sharing with the community, ways to look into using food to heal thyself.
Right.
So yeah.
Very good. I'm so glad. So we are so happy that Claire showed up here with us and to share herself with us. And again, you can go on, the links will be available for you to take a look at her website and all of her classes and her prices and what she offers. And like I said, Clarity Out Loud with Clair Thomas. She is offering beginners, intermediate, and advanced yoga to all of you beautiful people who are ready to move on to whatever portion of your life that you want to tap into, whether it's physicality, but know that you're going to get a whole full spectrum, mental, spiritual, physical, and even beyond that, more things that you didn't even know of, and releasing certain things in your inside of yourself that you didn't know that you probably needed to clear up, and it brightens up your life and brightens up your day. So we thank you so much for showing up. We are glad that you're here with us, and we'll see you again. Thanks for showing up at What's the Tea with Nikkolayla, and we'll have some tea again. Thank you. Love you. Bye.